All right. So have you ever thought about like those tiny little changes, those ones that you barely even notice and how they can actually like snowball into something huge?
It's really fascinating, right?
Yeah.
Because I think we tend to get so caught up in those massive goals, those huge leaps forward.
Yeah. Like trying to boil the ocean all at once.
Exactly. But sometimes the real secret is those small, consistent wins. You know,
Yeah.
the ones that build up over time and eventually lead to those extraordinary outcomes.
So instead of trying to like boil the ocean, it's more like heating up one cup of water consistently.
Exactly. And a great example of this is the British cycling team back in the early 2000s.
Oh yeah.
So they were good, right?
Yeah, they were good.
But they weren't winning major championships.
Mhm.
And then they brought in this new coach, Dave Brailsford, and he introduced this concept of marginal gains.
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
And didn't they like start obsessing over like, I don't know, the type of pillows the cyclists were using or something?
That's right. They broke down every single aspect of cycling performance, like training, nutrition, equipment, even sleep.
Wow.
And they were looking for just tiny 1% improvements in each area.
Really? Just 1%?
Just 1%. So they tested different fabrics for their suits for aerodynamics.
Oh boy.
They experimented with massage gels for muscle recovery. They even optimized the bus that they used to transport the team.
They optimized the bus.
Yeah,
Well,
think about it. If
okay.
those cyclists are traveling in a more comfortable, climate-controlled environment, they're going to arrive at competitions less fatigued
That's true.
and better prepared to perform.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's just one example. They were just meticulously analyzing and tweaking everything, looking for these seemingly insignificant advantages that could
Yeah.
add up to a significant edge.
So it's not about making one massive change. It's about finding all those little areas where you can just be a fraction better.
Exactly. And the results were astonishing.
Oh,
This team had been struggling for years, and then they went on to dominate the cycling world. They won multiple Olympic gold medals and Tour de France titles.
wow. That is a remarkable turnaround.
It is.
So the 1% rule, it's all about these tiny little gains that can add up to something much bigger. I'm starting to see how powerful this could be.
It is. It's incredible. It really highlights how these small, consistent improvements compounded over time often outperform those big, sudden changes.
Okay, that's one powerful example, but I bet there are others.
Oh, absolutely. Let's shift gears from cycling and talk about something completely different, the world of writing.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Think about J.K. Rowling.
Oh, yeah.
Now, she's a global icon, a household name,
Right.
but her journey to success was anything but a straight line.
Yeah, I've heard the stories about how she struggled for years, facing rejection after rejection
Totally.
before Harry Potter was finally published.
Exactly. And what's remarkable is her unwavering commitment to a consistent writing habit, even when she was a single mother struggling financially. She made time to write every single day,
Wow.
even if it was just for a few hours.
That's incredible dedication.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be so easy to give up when you're facing that much adversity.
It takes discipline and resilience. But those consistent writing sessions, even when they felt small and insignificant, they eventually became the foundation for the entire Harry Potter series.
So we're talking about $1 billion franchise
Yeah.
that emerged from these small daily acts of creation.
It's a testament to the power of those tiny wins.
Wow.
She didn't wait for inspiration to strike or for the perfect circumstances to align. She just showed up every day and put in the work one word at a time.
That's so inspiring, and it drives home the point that progress is progress no matter how small.
Absolutely. And it's empowering because we don't have to wait for some grand moment or a stroke of genius to start creating, building, and achieving.
Oh.
We can start right now by focusing on those small, consistent actions.
I love that the British cycling team, J.K. Rowling, these are incredible examples of how seemingly insignificant actions can lead to monumental outcomes.
It's amazing, right?
But is there a way to, systematize this approach? Like a framework for thinking about small wins?
There is. Let's travel to Japan for our next example. Have
Uh,
you ever heard of the concept of Kaizen?
Kaizen, that sounds familiar, but I can't quite place it.
It's a Japanese term that roughly translates to continuous improvement.
Okay.
It's a philosophy that emphasizes making small, incremental changes over time rather than going for these big disruptive overhauls.
Okay, I think I've heard of this.
Yeah,
Isn't that the principle behind a lot of Japanese manufacturing success like Toyota?
you got it. Companies like Toyota, they've embraced Kaizen as a core part of their culture.
Wow.
So instead of aiming for radical innovation or massive leaps forward, they focus on constantly looking for ways to improve their process, their products, their systems,
Okay.
even in the smallest of ways.
So those tiny tweaks, those incremental adjustments that over time lead to greater efficiency and quality and innovation.
Exactly. And what's fascinating about Kaizen is that it's not just a top-down approach. Everyone from the CEO to the assembly line worker, everyone's encouraged to contribute ideas
Oh, wow.
and identify areas for improvement.
Okay, I like that it's about creating a culture of continuous learning and improvement.
Absolutely. And the impact of this approach has been profound. It's a major factor in the success of many Japanese companies known for their high-quality products and efficient operations.
All right, so we've got the 1% rule, we've got J.K. Rowling's writing habit, and now we've got Kaizen. These are all different examples, but they all point to the same underlying principle. Small, consistent actions can lead to massive results. But I'm curious, what is it about these small wins that makes them so impactful?
That's a great question. And it's not just about the cumulative effect of those tiny improvements. There's something deeper going on, a psychological and even neurological element at play.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me more about this deeper level of impact.
One of the key reasons small wins are so powerful is they create momentum.
Okay.
Each small victory, no matter how seemingly insignificant, gives you this sense of progress,
Right.
which fuels your motivation to keep going.
It's like that feeling you get when you check something off your to-do list.
Right.
It just motivates you to tackle the next thing.
Exactly. And there's a biological basis for this. When we achieve a goal, even a small one, our brains release dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward.
So there's actually like a chemical reaction happening in our brains that makes us feel good when we experience these small wins.
That's right. And that feeling of reward, it creates a positive feedback loop, motivating us to seek out more of those wins,
Yeah.
which propels us further along the path towards our goals.
So there's this biological mechanism at play that reinforces this positive cycle of small wins leading to more motivation, leading to more wins. But I bet there's more to it than just dopamine.
There's another key aspect is the impact on our confidence.
Oh.
So each small win, no matter how tiny, it reinforces our belief in our ability to achieve our goals.
Yeah.
It's like we're saying to ourselves, hey, I can do this.
Right. I can see how that would build momentum. The more you succeed, even in small ways, the more you start to believe in your ability to achieve bigger things.
Exactly. It's a gradual process. But over time, those small wins chip away at our self-doubt, and they replace it with this sense of self-efficacy, the belief that we are capable of accomplishing what we set out to do.
So we've got momentum, we've got dopamine, we've got confidence, all working together to amplify the power of those small wins.
And there's one more crucial element to consider: the compounding effect.
Okay, I'm ready for this. I'm guessing this is where the real magic happens.
It is, think of it like compound interest in finance.
Oh, yeah.
Those small improvements, those tiny wins, they build upon each other over time,
Okay.
creating an exponential effect.
So it's not just about adding up those 1% improvements.
Right.
It's about the way they multiply and accelerate progress over time.
Precisely. And this compounding effect is what can lead to those truly remarkable transformations, those moments where we look back and think, wow, how did I get here?
This is mind-blowing. So we've covered so much ground already in this first part of our deep dive. We've explored the concept of small wins through these examples like the British cycling team, J.K. Rowling's writing habits, the Japanese philosophy of Kaizen. We've delved into the psychological and neurological underpinnings of why these small wins are so powerful, and we've seen how the compounding effect can create these truly remarkable results.
It's amazing how these seemingly insignificant actions can add up to create such a significant impact.
Absolutely. But now I'm eager to get practical in the next part of our deep dive. Let's explore some actionable strategies.
Yeah.
Some tangible things we can all do to start harnessing the power of small wins in our own lives.
Sounds good to me. I'm excited to share some tips and techniques that can help you make those small wins work for you. Stay tuned for part 2. So welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about the why, like why are small wins so powerful?
Yeah, we talked about the momentum, the dopamine, the confidence boost, but now I want to know the how can we actually make this happen?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the most effective strategies, I think, is to set what I call micro goals.
Okay.
It's about taking that big, daunting goal
Yeah.
and breaking it down into these teeny tiny manageable steps.
Okay.
Almost like you're building a staircase up to the top of a mountain.
So instead of saying, I'm going to climb Mount Everest, you're saying, I'm going to train for 30 minutes 3 times a week.
Exactly. Or if your goal is to write a book, you don't stare at that blank page
Right.
feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You set a micro goal like, I'm going to write 500 words each day.
Okay.
The key is making them ridiculously achievable.
Yeah.
So small that you almost can't fail.
You're setting yourself up for success.
Exactly. You get those early wins.
Yeah.
You build that momentum. You prove to yourself that you can make progress.
Okay, so we've got the big goal broken down into those bite-sized micro goals. What's next?
Track your
Oh,
progress.
yeah, good point.
This is crucial. You can't skip this.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be fancy.
Yeah.
A simple notebook, a spreadsheet, even just marking off days on a calendar.
Yeah.
But physically recording your progress makes those small wins more tangible, more real.
I like that it's like you're giving yourself a visual reminder of how far you've come.
Exactly, especially on those days when you're feeling discouraged.
Yeah, you can look back and see all those little wins.
Exactly. And as you track your progress, you'll start to see patterns. You'll see which strategies are working,
Oh, yeah.
which micro goals are easier to achieve, which areas might need tweaking.
It's like you're turning yourself into a scientist. You're experimenting and collecting data.
I love that analogy.
So track your progress.
Yeah.
Check. What else?
This is important. Don't forget to celebrate those wins.
Yes.
I mean, really celebrate them.
Okay.
Acknowledge those accomplishments no matter how small.
Okay.
Don't wait until you've reached the summit of that mountain to pat yourself on the back.
Yeah, it's so easy to get caught up in that what's next mentality.
Right? You forget to savor those little victories along the way.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
So find ways to make those small wins feel special.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you treat yourself to a coffee break.
Yeah.
You listen to your favorite song.
Okay.
Spend some time doing something you love.
Right.
Or just take a moment to pause and reflect on how far you've come.
Okay, so it's about creating that positive feedback loop,
Yeah.
reinforcing those good habits, and making the journey itself more enjoyable.
Exactly. And speaking of journeys,
Yeah.
one of the most important things to remember is consistency is key.
Oh, yeah. I've heard that before.
It's so much more effective to make a little bit of progress each day than to try and cram everything into one massive push.
It's like that old saying, slow and steady wins the race.
Think of it like building a muscle,
Okay.
You don't get six-pack abs by doing 1,000 crunches in one day.
Okay.
You get them by showing up consistently day after day and putting in the work.
So it's about making those small actions a part of your routine,
Right.
almost like brushing your teeth or taking a shower.
Exactly. It's not about intensity, it's about consistency. And here's the beautiful thing about consistency. It creates a compounding effect.
Oh, yeah. I love that word compounding. Tell me more.
It's like compound interest.
Okay.
Those small, consistent actions,
Yeah.
they start to build upon each other
Okay.
and lead to exponential growth over time.
This is where things get really exciting.
Right.
It's not just adding up those 1% improvements.
Yeah.
It's the way they multiply and accelerate that progress.
Exactly. It's like that snowball rolling down a hill, gathering more and more snow as it goes.
Okay. I'm starting to see how powerful this can be.
Hmm.
But I think a lot of people struggle with staying consistent. Like life gets in the way,
That's a great point. And that's something we'll dig into deeper in the next part of our deep dive. But one of the most effective strategies is to create what I call habit triggers.
Habit triggers. I like that. Tell me more.
Basically, it's a cue that prompts you to perform that specific action. It could be something simple like setting an alarm on your phone,
Okay.
putting your workout clothes by your bed, placing a book on your desk where you'll see it first thing in the morning.
You're essentially setting up your environment
Yeah.
to make it easier to stick to those good habits.
Exactly. And another key strategy is to find an accountability partner, someone who can support you and encourage you and help you stay on track.
Okay, so we've got micro goals, tracking progress, celebrating wins, embracing consistency, creating habit, triggers, anything else we should be thinking about as we, kind of embark on this journey of leveraging small wins.
One more crucial point. Remember that this is a process, not a destination.
Oh, wait.
It's a journey of continuous learning and improvement.
Right.
Don't be afraid to experiment. Try new things. Adjust your approach as you go.
So being flexible, adaptable, always willing to learn and grow.
Exactly. And here's the beautiful thing about this approach.
What's that?
Even if you stumble, even if you miss a micro goal,
Yeah.
even if you feel like giving up, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
You can always pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get back on track.
I love that it's a very forgiving and empowering way to approach personal growth and, goal achievement.
It is. And the more you embrace this mindset of continuous improvement, you'll start to see opportunities for small wins all around you.
Okay. I'm feeling super motivated.
That's great.
I'm ready to putting all this into practice. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Yeah.
is there anything else you want to add about the power of small wins?
I think the most important thing is we often underestimate the power of those small, seemingly insignificant actions, you know?
Yeah.
We get so caught up thinking that success requires massive heroic efforts,
Right.
grand gestures. But as we've seen today, it's often those tiny, consistent steps, those daily acts of discipline and dedication that lead to those extraordinary outcomes.
So true. Don't let anyone tell you that your dreams are too big or your goals are too ambitious. Start small, stay consistent, and never underestimate the transformative power of those tiny wins.
Beautifully said.
Okay, folks, we're going to take a quick break to let all of this goodness sink in. But we'll be back soon for the final part of our deep dive, where we'll explore even more strategies for leveraging the power of small wins in your life. Don't go anywhere. Okay, so we're back, and I'm ready to take all this amazing advice and actually put it into practice in my life.
That's the spirit. And in this last part, I want to give you even more tools
Yeah.
that you can use to make those small wins really work for you.
Okay, hit me with them.
So one technique I find really helpful is what I call habit stacking.
Habit stacking, okay. What's that?
So it's all about linking a new habit you want to build with an existing habit that's already ingrained in your routine,
Okay.
like piggybacking on something you're already doing consistently.
So if I always make a cup of coffee first thing in the morning,
Right.
I could stack on a new habit, like reading for 15 minutes, right after I pour my coffee.
Exactly. You connect the new habit to that existing trigger.
The coffee?
Yeah, making the coffee, and you're way more likely to remember to do it.
And it'll actually stick.
Exactly. It's like creating a chain reaction of positive habits.
I like that.
Another powerful technique is visualize your success.
Oh, visualization.
Yeah, our brains are amazing at turning mental images into reality.
Right.
So spend a few minutes each day and really visualize yourself achieving those micro goals,
Okay.
feeling that sense of accomplishment, and experiencing those positive outcomes.
It's not just about doing the work. It's about seeing yourself do it.
Right, and feeling the rewards.
Okay, visualization. I'm going to add that to my toolkit.
And this one might sound simple, but it's super powerful. Eliminate distractions.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, in today's world, we are bombarded with notifications,
Right.
emails, social media updates. It's a recipe for derailing our focus.
Oh, I know it.
It makes it so hard to stick to those small wins.
Our attention spans are being pulled in a million different directions.
Right, so create a distraction-free environment when you're working on those micro goals.
Okay.
Put your phone on silent, close, unnecessary tabs on your computer. Find a quiet space where you can concentrate.
It's about creating a sanctuary
Yes.
for those small wins to really take root.
I love that. And here's another one. Reward yourself.
Okay, this is my favorite part.
Remember that dopamine rush
Yeah.
we were talking about earlier? You can use that to your advantage by intentionally rewarding yourself for achieving those micro goals.
So are we talking spa days and shopping sprees for every 500 words written?
Maybe not to that extent.
Yeah.
But the rewards don't have to be extravagant.
Okay.
It could be something simple. Enjoying a cup of tea, taking a walk in nature,
Yeah.
spending some time doing a hobby you love.
It's about creating a positive association
Yes.
with achieving those small wins.
Exactly. You reinforce those good habits and make the journey itself more enjoyable.
Okay, so we've got habit stacking, visualization, eliminating distractions, rewarding ourselves. I feel like I have a whole toolkit now.
You do.
But any final pieces of advice?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to remember that this is a journey, not a race. There will be days when you stumble, you miss a micro goal.
Mhm.
You feel like giving up, and that's okay.
It happens.
It's part of the process.
It's about being kind to ourselves,
Yes.
embracing those imperfections,
Yes.
and remembering that progress. It's not always a straight line.
Exactly. And here's the beautiful thing about this approach. Even if you have a setback, it doesn't erase all the progress you've made.
Oh, that's good.
You can always pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get back on track.
I love that message.
And I think it's important to remember that we often underestimate the power of those small, seemingly insignificant actions.
Right. We get fixated on those big, audacious goals.
But sometimes the real magic happens in those tiny, consistent steps
Yeah.
we take each day.
Those daily acts of discipline
Exactly.
that lead to those big outcomes.
So to all of you listening out there, don't let anyone tell you that your dreams are too big or your goals are too ambitious. Start small. Stay consistent. Celebrate those wins. And never underestimate the transformative power of those tiny, beautiful steps forward.
Well said. And that is a wrap on our deep dive into the power of small wins. We hope you enjoyed this conversation and that you're leaving feeling inspired and empowered to make some positive changes in your life. Thanks for listening.